This episode of the Beauty Industry Podcast was brought to you by Asada Mineral Cosmetics and Clinical Skincare. Hello and welcome to the Beauty Industry Podcast, your online support community for the professional beauty industry. I am your host, founding director of Beauty Industry, Tamara Reid. Here, we are closing the competitive gap and speaking your language. This is a platform created and dedicated to the professional beauty industry, valuing community over competition. We serve to help connect you with inspiration from industry experts, expand your knowledge through educational pieces, and bring you the latest in product and technology innovation. This is Beauty Industry. Today, my guest is Cara Lehmann from the Beauty Boss VA. Cara has been in the beauty industry for the last 16 years, 10 of those as a salon owner and leader. Cara started her very first business at the age of 18, where she started to offer nail services from home while studying beauty therapy. Once graduated, Cara moved into the salon industry, but the desire to have her own business was very strong. So, at the ripe old age of 21, she set up her very own Ella Bache franchise. Cara began with no database, only a very small team of therapists, and a strong desire to succeed, which she transformed into a 7-figure turnover and a team of 11 therapists. Cara is a strong believer in personal growth and development and continues to work on her own mindset and abilities as she shares with us today. With her now business, The Beauty Boss VA, her goal is to help other business owners reach their goals, all while taking away some of the pressure that she has experienced and knows all too well that can be too much for our business owners out there. Here is Cara and I for Beauty Industry. Hey Cara, welcome to the Beauty Industry Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Likewise to have you. Do you know what? We've actually never had a VA on our podcast before, so you're the first one.
Yay, that's so exciting. I'm so glad to be able to bring a different perspective to the podcast.
Yes, and I'm excited to chat to you about all things VA because they are such a lifesaver and a time saver, and I think an unutilized service in the beauty industry. I think it could really help a lot of our audience. So keen to get into that with you today. But prior to that, what I love about you is unlike a lot of VAs out there who kind of don't really understand the beauty and aesthetics industry and give a lot of impractical advice or suggestions or don't have the language, you are a therapist and a business owner at heart, right? So can we go all the way back to the start?
Yes.
How did you actually get into the industry? What made you join us?
Sure. So I started in the industry when I was fresh out of school. So I went straight into beauty college. When I graduated, I really struggled. I had the pressure of going to university and things like that when I was finishing year 12. And I said to my parents, nothing in the university guide appeals to me. Like I just felt there was just nothing calling my name. And I wasn't an academic person. I really struggled with maths and all of those typical difficult subjects that I just didn't enjoy. And I was more of a creative. I loved drama and I loved art. And I grew up with my mum as a hairdresser. And I think that's kind of where it all, I guess, kind of started because I was exposed to the industry on that level growing up as a child. And my mum used to, kind of do work from home and things like that. And then she was also in a salon environment. So I think that's kind of where it started. And I had a lot of self-esteem issues and things like that growing up as a teenager as well, like a lot of us do experience. And for me, I just loved everything that I read in the course guide when I was reading about beauty therapy. And I thought, you know what, that is exactly me. I love painting nails. I love putting makeup on. I was always the one at school getting in trouble for wearing makeup when I wasn't meant to. So I think that's kind of where it all started. And I really didn't know what I was getting myself into when I first started college. And I had the most incredible teacher. She was a teacher that had been in the industry for many, many years. And she was just one of those really old school, genuine, beautiful beauty therapists. And she just really made me fall in love with it straight away. And I went to college. I actually did it part-time over 2 years. So during that time I worked and built up my skills in retail, and I ended up learning skills in supervision. So I became like a shift supervisor, and that I think kind of helped me move straight into a management role when I graduated from college. So that was kind of where it all started. I didn't spend a lot of time as, I guess, just a beauty therapist. When I went into the industry, I went straight into management. So it was a little bit of a crazy ride when I look back at it and think about how I entered the industry. But yeah, I just really had a passion for it, and I wanted to work straight away. I wanted to get in there, and I wanted to learn as much as I could. So at the age of 19, I got my first job. I think I was about a month out of graduating when I got my first job. So I was kind of like the new kid on the block, and I got a lot of criticism, I guess, from my colleagues at the time, because they were all like, oh, how does she get a management job when she's only, not even graduated, and she's so fresh into the industry. And a lot of them couldn't really understand how I started out like that. But I was just really driven, and I wanted to be the best I could be, and start where I could in being able to learn as much as I could. So yeah, that's kind of where it all started.
Oh, that's so cool. I've been thinking a lot lately. We were just chatting offline, about having a baby and things like that, and just little bits and pieces of skills that you learn prior to doing your job now that you don't actually realize how much you actually take with that, like how much of that skill you utilize every day, right? So, for
Yeah.
example, this is going on a tangent, but stick with me. My baby had a stress shoulder on the way out. And so now I actually have to massage his jaw and the sternocleidomastoid and all the way down to the lats every single day, a couple of times a day. And I'm like, oh my goodness, all of this I learned in facial massage, right? At beauty
Yeah.
school. And so that's the same for you, like doing that supervision job. Some people go, oh, a waste of time working at Bunnings or working at Macca's or working at a bakery. And it's like, no, all of those skills are so essential to what you do today. And for you, I mean, moving from that supervision job into management straight away, huge progression, and so many lessons there in which you might have only learnt 5 or 10 years down the track had you gone straight into therapy. So I just love that so much.
Yeah, you're so right. And, like I actually worked in a fruit shop, so completely not related to skin at all. But yeah, it did. It gave you that stepping stone. I had an understanding of business practices and how they run. And I think ultimately that kind of even inspired me one day to want to be my own business owner, because the people that even run that store, they were multiple shop owners, and they were like that living, breathing example of a really awesome business owner. So I think that was kind of where I got my kick and drive for wanting to be in business.
Yeah, so cool. Now, tell me about this drive for business ownership, because you actually owned an Ella Bache franchise at 21, which is like baby 21 owning a business. How did you come to acquire that business? And when you got there, were you like, oh my goodness, what the heck have I done? Or were you just so confident that you were like, I can do this?
Probably a bit of both. I think I did have a lot of confidence only because of the experience that I had working as an assistant manager in an Ella Bache prior to becoming a franchisee. I never really had any fear around it. I saw what the owners of the current franchise I was in were doing, and they were amazing women. They had multiple salons. They were great leaders. And I was like, I want what they have. And where I was working at the time, I could see the number of people that were traveling anywhere from half an hour to 45 minutes to even an hour to get to that salon. And I was like, I live in that area. There's such a need. There's nothing out there, and I wanted to work close to home. And I said to my parents at the time, and I was like, I'm sick of the travel, but there's just nowhere decent that I want to work or that fit my, I guess, ideals of a workplace that I wanted to be in out in the area that I was in. And there was a lot of construction going on in the area at the time. There was actually a couple of different shopping centre locations for us to choose from. And we went through the process, and at the time my dad was retiring from his corporate career, and I said to him, I was like, do you want to go into business with me? And I think my parents at the time were probably thinking, oh my gosh, she's crazy, like she's so young and this is just, probably a little bit unrealistic. But I guess I was so convinced and so passionate about it that they just went, okay, well, what have we got to lose? Like, let's just investigate, see what it is. And we went to a couple of different locations, and the first one we signed up for it ended up being not the right one. And I'm so glad that we didn't go ahead with that. And the second one ended up being ideal. We got a really great position and contract and everything like that. So it kind of all just aligned and fell together. And the business is actually still going really strong today. So it's pretty cool to see. But I don't know. I felt like a franchise was a great idea at the time for me being 21 because it had that structure already. I think if I had gone in on my own and started a salon completely from scratch without the brand support and the knowledge and I guess all of that help behind me, I probably wouldn't have done as well. And I absolutely loved the business I had worked in. So I think that was a really big key part in it. I think you have to have that underlying passion and drive to want to recreate what somebody, has shown to you beforehand. So having that experience probably took away a lot of the fear, and we did business training with them beforehand. So there was a lot of stuff that happened that really gave us the confidence to be able to dive deep into it at that age.
Very cool. I think you must have been quite worldly or perhaps self-aware. I mean, being 21 and watching, or even younger than 21, prior to owning the franchise, watching business owners and managers and other therapists and thinking, okay, you're doing this and it's good, and you're doing this and it's bad. I'm going to take a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, and then go into owning my own business. What were those kind of things that you noticed you wanted to do differently or implement where, when you weren't the business owner, you couldn't do that when you actually became the business owner? What were some of those first little Cara elements that you implemented on the franchise?
I was definitely somebody who was always thinking outside the box. Like I really wanted to make sure that both my team were really well looked after. So I did witness really great team leadership, but I also witnessed, not so great management of staff as well. And I really wanted to make sure that I provided a workplace where I could relate to as the employee as well as the employer. So I was always looking for ways in which I could make that really, really positive. And you know what? I never always got it right. I did always have to learn new things, and being young was definitely a challenge when I went into being an employer. I took a lot. I don't know what it was that made me know and recognize what made a good and a bad employer, but I don't know, I just had this unique ability to go, that's what I want. That's how I think I just always put it back to how it made me feel. And I'm the type of person, I guess, that I love helping others. And I think that was probably the underlying reason for it. I just wanted to really help other people in their own careers, but in also progressing my business as well. And then, a lot of it came down to with marketing and business goals. I always wanted to just do better and be better. And, I was always coming up with these quirky ideas for within the salon or to get the local area talking and into the business. And I would often get people from our head office come in and say, what are you doing that's so different? And, this is I guess, low socioeconomic area. Like, why are you doing so well? And I think it was really just, I don't know, I just had this underlying desire to really make what we provided different to everyone else. And just had this motivation that I wanted to be known as the best in the area. And that's what it really just came down to, I think.
Yeah, it's so cool. And I think I really admire you because even though you've got a franchise, you've got the backing of a brand, you've got that solid name, the reputation, It sounds like you're quite a go-getter, so you're still like, okay, how can I activate this? How can I make this blow
Mm,
up? Which is very cool. And coming back to that element of, helping others in marketing, obviously that's led you to where you are today at the Beauty Boss VA. How
mm.
did you kind of make that transition, and what made you go, okay, I want to be a business owner of kind of my own little business here, but it's a completely different business to a bricks and mortar service-based
Yeah.
business?
Yeah, well, it's a little bit of a long story. So, towards the end of our franchise agreement, we kind of just felt we didn't align anymore. And that's totally fine. Businesses evolve and change, and you've just got to always be, I think, aligned with what you're doing. So we decided at about 8 years in that it was time to sell, and that we wanted to kind of move on from our franchise business. So after we sold, and to be honest, it took a long time to sell. I was kind of stuck. I didn't know what I was going to do or what my next step was. I felt really, I guess, lost because I had known that system for so long, and that was all I had ever really done in my career. And at the time I had 2 small children as well, and I dabbled in different ideas of, do I go into business development management? Do I go back into another salon? I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And it was at that time that I actually ended up getting a job with somebody that I did a lot of work with myself in my own business. And that kind of, I guess, exposed me to the virtual world. So she was running lots of courses and online services. And that was kind of, I guess, where it all kind of stemmed from. I learned a lot about working with virtual assistants, how they worked, how they operated, and even just, different tools and techniques that I would never have, I guess, been aware of if I had stayed in a salon. About 4 months after selling the salon, I found out I was pregnant with my 3rd child. And so for me, that was a huge change because we had only planned to have 2, and it kind of just threw everything, I guess, out the window. But at the time, I think that all was part of the plan because I couldn't get a job, and I was like, what's wrong with me? No one wants to hire me. But I think it was just the universe had a bigger plan for me. So I think I had to go through that experience of knowing what it was like to struggle a little bit in the industry to get to where I am today. So after I had my little boy, I ended up, when he was about 10 months old, going back into salon land. I got a job as a general manager. And I really was exposed to a different side of the industry. The franchising community I was in was it was second to none. It was amazing. Like, all of the people I worked with was just incredible people. And I saw a very different side of the beauty industry. And that there's nothing wrong with that, but it just wasn't, I guess, what I was used to. And I really struggled with it. And about 6 months into that job, I just said to my husband, I can't go back anymore. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't align with me. And I want to do something else that's more flexible around the kids, because I felt like I was missing out on a lot with them. They were in care and it just didn't feel right for me. So I said to him, I was like, I just don't know what to do. Like, I've tried to get jobs and there's just nothing out there that I guess fills the brief of what I was looking for. And I said to him, I was like, I think I'm just going to quit with nothing to go to. And he was like, what? What do you mean? And I was like, well, I think I'm just going to freelance. And, I've got this experience in this area and that area. And I'm just going to throw it out there and I'm just going to dive in and freelance. And I'm just going to help people in their businesses, whichever way I can. And I guess that was kind of where the virtual assistant idea was born. So it literally was a spur of the moment decision, and I just dived straight into it. But I don't know, it just felt right. Like, I just felt like it was the right time. It was the right purpose. And I think as soon as I put one post up on Facebook saying, this is what I'm going to be doing, I had multiple people contact me and say, I want to work with you. And that to me was, okay, I'm on the right path. So yeah, that's kind of how it started. Like, it was literally born from that desire to find and fill a void, I guess, and a gap in the industry that, was really needed at the time. So yeah.
After the break, Cara shares with us exactly how a VA takes care of the overwhelm many of us as business owners face with the daily grind. But first, a word from today's beauty partner. Asada Mineral Cosmetics has been at the forefront of high-quality, talc-free mineral makeup in Australia for over 15 years. And if you hadn't heard the news already, Asada is now set to launch a range of advanced cosmeceutical skincare. Asada Clinical Formula has been developed and tested in a skin clinic to ensure its efficacy in professional treatments and as a sought-after home care retail range. Each skincare product has been formulated with high-performance actives, vitamins, antioxidants, probiotics, and plant extracts for optimal skin health. To learn more about how the Asada Clinical Formula range can benefit your clinic or salon, visit asada.com/skin today. Thank you so much to the team at Asada for making this episode of the Beauty Industry Podcast possible. And now back to Cara. I think there's a lot of mums in the industry, you know, who are therapists or business owners, and once they become mums, they kind of go, I can't do all these late nights and the Saturdays, and I'm missing out on the soccer on the weekend, or, you know, I'm missing out on dinner time. And you're right, there's not a whole lot of flexibility, you know, around, you know, for mums. And considering our industry is like 99% women, that seems so bizarre to me. But also as well, you're so right where you say there's like two sides to the industry, and I've experienced both. And that's exactly where beauty industry has come from, is that we want to create the good side, and we want to create more of the good side, so that it's not 50-50 good and bad. It's like 90-10, right? And it's through that collaboration, that connection, that we're trying to drive that. But I think you have to see both sides to go, this is what I'm worth and this is how I value myself. And yes, I will continue in the industry, but it's not going to be with that company, you know, or not going to be under that management. I want to ask you, for those who don't know, what is a VA? Like, what do you actually do? Because I think a lot of, you know, kind of pre-COVID, we knew about EA, executive assistant, or PA, personal assistant, and now we've got VA. So for those of people who are just like, what the heck does she do all day long? Like, what does a normal day look like for you?
It varies, to be honest. It really does. And I think that's what I love so much about it. But basically, to put it in a nutshell, we take away, I guess, that pressure of time for business owners. So if it's virtual, we can help with it. So on a day-to-day basis, it might range from, you know, helping people manage their own emails. So if they don't have admin time and they're just overwhelmed in their admin in their business, we might help respond to emails, or we might help with, you know, virtual reception things. So it could be contacting people via, you know, DM or Messenger on Facebook, or it could be taking phone calls and calling people back, and customer service based tasks for them. Then there's a whole other aspect that we help with in regards to digital marketing and social media scheduling and management. We have graphic designers on board, so we help with website building, and we help with, you know, anything to do in a design element. We don't necessarily specialize in branding, but we help put together, I guess, marketing material. And I guess where the point of difference is particularly in our marketing, is we don't just create the material, we implement, we send, we do the marketing. So we actually get in there, we send the campaign for you, we follow up on the campaign. So there's, I guess, we take it another step further with our marketing services, where we actually go in and do it, because I think that's where a lot of business owners struggle, is they get the marketing material made for them, they get it all organized and done, but actually finding the time to sit down and do it is the hard part. So yeah, we've done so many different things, to be honest, and we've done things like business operations manuals. So if they need us to go in and actually type in the details, we've done employment contracts. So they'll say, here's my template. Can you go and actually make it look pretty? Can you add my logo? Can you add the employees' details? You know, like all of those little things that you go, oh, I need to do that, but they just don't have the time to do it. So we tend to do a lot of those sorts of tasks as well. So it really can vary on a day-to-day basis. But I think that's what I love so much about it, is we just get to help in so many different ways.
Yeah, so cool. And I think those two that you touched based on customer service, not just giving the herbal tea when the client arrives, or saying thank you at the end, but it's everything that encompasses the customer service. It's the text message sent out beforehand. It's, can you please review us on Google and Facebook afterwards? It's the menu and how they're printed and how beautifully on brand they are, all of that customer service, and then combine that with the marketing, the automations,
Mm,
the email newsletters, all of this kind of stuff. Those two things alone are your biggest money makers, right? And
yeah.
every business owner says, oh, product training and the therapist are your biggest money makers. Yes, they absolutely are. But if you don't have a 5-star customer service, and if you're not spending time or money on marketing, then you don't have clients. And then, it's very difficult to get your therapist to perform a 5-star service if you don't have all of these touch points around. And as you said, I love so much that it's the implementation, because business owners honestly have the best intentions
Mm,
to do the things. But as we know, we get stuck in the treatment room, just one more client, one more client, one more
yeah.
client. We go home, we're exhausted. And then it's
Yeah.
like, okay, if you're treating, you don't have time to do all of that other stuff. So it's like all of the stuff that's in our head, extract it and give to Cara.
Yes, that's exactly right. And, like, I think what I really tried to do when I was going into this business was, what were the things that I really felt was overwhelming me when I was in my salon before I stepped out full time. So I was very, very lucky in that I did step out in the last few years of my business and I was able to do all of those things myself. And like you said, it makes a massive impact on the performance of your business. But unfortunately, not everyone's able to do that. Some therapists and owners, they want to stay in the treatment room. They want to be able to do services. Not everybody wants to be like I was and step out and just grow the business, and I think it's really important to look at your strengths and the areas that you love in your business and really fine tune those points for you so that you are loving your business, because so many people get stressed and then they end up resenting their business. And I think that was where the desire for this business really came from, was I didn't want people to feel that way about their businesses and that there was someone there to help them. And it didn't necessarily mean having to employ someone full-time as a manager or even regularly. They can just do one-off tasks with us. They don't have to be, every single week employing us. They can just literally work with us on a task basis. So I think that's where, it really does help people in the industry. Mm.
Yeah, for sure. And as you've said there, I get a lot of business owners coming to me in the DM saying, Tamara, I know I should be working on my business more and less in it, but I just love treating. I don't want to hire another therapist, but all of this stuff has to get done. If you're a business owner and you don't love marketing, if it's not your jam, if you don't want to do your books, if you don't want to do the hiring, hire someone to do the stuff that you don't want to do. Why would you replace yourself if you're the best therapist in your team, if you're the best salesperson, if you're doing the best consultations? Why would you take that person off the floor? It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, that's right. And I just think we need to stop this expectation that as a beauty business owner, you have to go down that path. Like, I really feel we need to make it okay for our salon owners and our therapists to feel like it's okay to just focus on treatments. You don't have to be good at absolutely everything. And it's okay to have your business the way that you feel it should be, not what everybody is saying you have to have. So I think that's a really, really important thing that I learned as well, is just that you have to focus on the things that light you up. Otherwise, you're just going to end up feeling yucky about your business, and no one wants that. We don't go into business to feel that way. We go into business because we want the freedom, we want the lifestyle, we want to love what we do every day. We want to show up and really enjoy it. And I think we've got to let go of that. It has to be done a certain way.
100%. Couldn't agree more. I want to ask you about the marketing, which you mentioned before, because I think these days a lot of business owners go, okay, and also a lot of agencies, if I'm speaking honestly, they go, okay, marketing, social media. Let's just go straight to social media. Do you have a
Mm.
Facebook? Do you have an Instagram? Let's activate that. And I go, no, no. marketing is so much more than that. There are so many different platforms and consumer channels and different ways you can be speaking to your clients. Can you speak
Mm.
to some of the different ways that like you're helping business owners speak to their clients? It's not Instagram and Facebook, because that's obviously a no-brainer. We need to be on social media.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think people do have this expectation that if I'm not on social media, I'm not going to get anywhere. And it's not true at all. And I know personally that my biggest income when I was building my business came from email marketing and building relationships with my community, either via email or SMS or in-person events. That was honestly the main ways that I built my business. And it's the main 3 ways I really encourage my clients to make sure that they're getting out there and they're doing. I often have people come to me and say, I'm doing this on social media, I'm doing that, and I'm just not getting anywhere with my business. And a lot of the time we strip it back and we go, okay, well, what are you doing elsewhere in your business? And that's where it is often neglected. And a lot of people don't have up-to-date databases. They don't follow up. They set things up, but then they don't implement them. And they just rely on people either coming back for the fact that you're doing a great service or getting new clients constantly. And that's never going to be a really great way to sustain a business. So for me, one of the biggest things that has come from my business experience, and it was only just recently I ran into 2 people who was with my business from the start. So they came for 10 years to my salon, and recently I ran into them and they were like, oh, Cara, it's just not the same without you. It's just missing that something, and I don't know what it is. And I think it was just the fact that you were always in there building relationships with us. You made us feel really special, and you always went above and beyond to get to know us as customers. And when I think back on it, it's so true. Like, they knew when I was having a baby, and they knew all these different things about me that I really wanted them to understand that we weren't just a national franchise. We were a real small business that they were supporting. It was a family they were supporting, and they loved it. And I think that's where a lot of people sometimes don't, maybe they get too scared to open up to their audience, but sometimes I feel there is that little bit of neglect in the relationship buildings in their businesses. Opening up, getting in front of the camera and letting them, I think maybe they could even be a bit fearful for people to know that they're actually the business owner for whatever reason. And I think it's really important that people can relate to the business and the person behind it, and it makes such a difference in your marketing. So, sorry, I went on a bit of a tangent there, but, like it can be so many different things, and I think the key with marketing, no matter what form it is not sounding spammy or salesy, and, in an SMS, generally sounding like you care about that person. We haven't seen you for a while. Is everything okay? Not just, oh, we haven't seen you. Here's 10% off. Come see us again. Because it looks like we want you for money. Like there's so many different ways you can communicate with your customers without it feeling like it's just a lost dollar to you. So I think that's probably what I really try to get my clients to understand, is that, okay, if one thing like social media isn't working well for you, how do we reinvent it? How do we make people connect better with you? And then let's look at all other areas of your business and, have that client experience from your website through to your email marketing, through your SMS following up, through to, your posters and your branding and your collateral, all of it. It all ties into one big system. And it's so important that people feel connected to you through that.
Yes. And you've just made me realize, as you were talking about that, you mentioned the word relationships, and that's kind of playing out in my head. I'm going, okay, who are my relationships? And say, for example, one of my best girlfriends, she had a baby 4 weeks ahead of me, and we talk on every platform. Like yesterday, we had a phone call with each other. We'll often text message each other. We'll DM each other on Messenger. We'll also send stuff to each other through Instagram private messages, or we'll comment on posts to each other. We also send stuff in the mail, like beautiful gifts and things like that. And that's just landed for me that relationship is being nurtured through so many different channels, SMS, Facebook, email, snail mail, all of those different things. And that's really what we've got to do for our clients. Like, if we want that relationship, then we should be talking to our clients on all of these different platforms, not just going, okay, I'm only going to phone my friend, but I'm never going to text her. I'm never going to comment on her social media. I'm never going to send her anything in the mail. I'm just going to do this one thing. And I think business owners kind of sometimes put all their eggs in the one social media basket or the one snail mail basket and then forget about all of the other baskets. So I think if we talk to everyone on all of the platforms, we'll have a better conversation as a whole, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't have to be complex either. Like, it doesn't have to be all at once. You know, you can do different things in different ways at different times. You know, once a year, we used to love getting together care packages and sending out random, you know, care packages to top clients and just saying, we were thinking about you this week and we wanted to send you this. And, you know, that wouldn't be something you would do all the time. But for those clients that stayed for 10 years or more, they loved that because it was something that was so unexpected that made them go, wow, I'm not just a dollar sign to them. They actually care about me as a person. And you're so right. Like, we communicate with our friends or our partners or whoever in multiple different ways. Why should we be doing it in just one way with our customers?
Yeah, so cool. So I want to know, you've obviously been a business owner of a franchise, which is a huge kettle of fish, and now you're a business owner of a virtual assistant business. What are some of the biggest lessons you've learned about the industry, about yourself, about being a business owner? I'm sure there's so many that you could share with us that might inspire or motivate or help somebody who's listening today.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I definitely have a lot. But I think the key, probably the top ones that I really live by, is don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Stay in your own lane, and really just try and focus on what your values and missions are for those around you, and how can you get that out into your community and build relationships with people. And you know, that's why I love what you're about with your business, is because it is about building a community. And that for me is just, it's so important. I totally agree with that value. So I think that is really, really important. And I think that's something that a lot of salon owners in particular get stuck in the trap of. They, you know, see an old therapist that worked for them previously, and they've gone and started up their own business, and they get so upset by it, and they get so I guess angry. And I was like that in the beginning, to be honest. I used to get really upset, but now I look at it as I inspired that person to chase their dreams, and they probably looked up as me as a business owner and went, wow, I want what she's got. And I definitely did that with my first employers. I looked at them and went, wow, I want what she's got. And they were probably upset with me too when I opened my salon. You know, like, I think when we change the perspective about what other people are doing in the industry, and we support each other, and we, you know, even mentor each other. I mean, yes, some people do go down the path of not so nice tactics, but I think we all just need to be respectful of each other and work together, and, you know, look at it from a place of love as opposed to a place of negativity. And another lesson, I think, is just keeping up to date with what's going on in the industry as well, I think is really, really important. Just never fall out of love with the industry. Make sure that you go out there, you have treatments done, that you really experience what it's like as a client as well. That's something I try to do, even now that I'm not an owner or a therapist. I try to go and have treatments, because for me, it makes it easier for me to communicate in our marketing that we do for customers, because I know what it's like to be the client. And that was something that I really found when I was employing people. The number of therapists that I would say, okay, what was the last treatment you had done? And they'd be like, I waxed my eyebrows at home.
Yeah.
And I was like, so you haven't had a facial recently? No, I probably had one when I first went to product training maybe 18 months ago. And I was like, okay, no, we need to make sure you're getting in there regularly, having treatments. I think that's one of the biggest areas that we neglect as an industry, is we're not making sure that enough of our own people are experiencing our treatments and the results, and just expanding in the industry from that position of what it's like as a customer. Yeah, so that's probably, I could go on forever, but they're probably the top ones.
So much good advice there. And you've got to practice what you preach. And I love what
Mm,
you're saying there. You have to love what you're doing every single day because that's where the passion and the purpose comes in. Well, Cara, thank you so much for being my guest today and for having a chat. I am sure there's going to be a lot of people out there who are going, hands up, I need help with the overwhelm. I need help with the admin and the customer service and the marketing. So I'll be sure to pop all of your links and details in our show notes so that people can click through and find out more about the Beauty Boss VA and the services that you provide. And yeah, really appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much for having me. I've loved chatting with you.
I so hope you enjoyed today's conversation with Cara from the Beauty Boss VA. One question that frequently comes into my DMs is, Tamara, do I have to stop working in my business to make it successful? And you know what? The answer is no, with the help of people like Cara. If you absolutely adore being a business owner who is hands-on in the treatment room and that fills your cup, then don't give that up. But 2, don't try and wear all of the hats. If you're compromising your time spent on marketing to new clients or doing the books because you're in the treatment room, then give those tasks to somebody like Cara who loves doing them so that you can keep doing what you love. Let Cara and I know how you enjoyed today's chat by sharing it across your social media stories, which will greatly help us reach more industry ears by tagging Cara at @the_beautyboss_VA and us at Beauté Industry. And hey, myself, Tamara Reid Beauté, if you feel like indulging in a little bit of baby spam on your gram. Thank you so much for your ears and for always supporting this show. Until next time, stay connected.